you ever heard of an appoggiatura? If no, we recommend reviewing episode 28, Non-Chord Tones, before digging into this episode. If yes, on with the show. Ready your ears for another fine harmonic progression episode. This is Music Student 101. Here are your hosts, Jeremy Burns and Matthew Scott Phillips.
Oh, what a lovely day it is today.
It is beautiful.
What's lovely about it is we're talking about music again.
We are talking about music again.
There could be a tornado outside, and we could be talking about music, and it would still be a lovely day.
Yeah, fortunately, it's only like 95 degrees or something, so, nice, cool.
Yes, Matt and I
relaxing.
had our little pre-game meeting outside in the hot sun.
Outside, where it was a smooth, balmy 95 degrees.
Sweltering, I believe is the word.
We live in Alabama, so, it's...
Hey, one of the things we were talking about, actually, was we both play in cover bands now.
We do.
And I got to thinking the other day, I find myself more and more using the number system rather than chords when I'm learning these things.
Really?
Yeah, because like Colin from this band I'm in, Plastic Gems, he's a big Taylor Swift fan. In fact, I'd go as far as to say he's a Swiftie. And of course, he can't sing the keys she's in, so most of the stuff we do from her is transposing down a fourth or a fifth.
Right.
So I've just gotten accustomed to using the numeral system, the Roman numeral system.
As opposed to solfege, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course, I was never good at solfege. You know? But yeah. And mainly for the chords is what I'm talking about.
Oh, so like instead of tonic and dominant, it's 1, 4, 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of what those chord symbols are actually there for. Is to sort of be able to talk about any 4 chord relative to any given tonic. Yeah.
But not only does that mindset get me transposition ready, so to speak, it also helps me my ears, because I'm not thinking G, C, D. I'm thinking
1, 4, 5. Yeah.
So when I hear that, that's what I recognize.
Yeah, that's kind of what I try to do as well.
And that's kind of the dream, right?
Yeah.
It just helps you learn music faster and stay on the right page longer.
Yeah, and then when somebody says, "Hey, can we play this in a key that's a step down or a fifth up or something?" You're not having to rethink your whole process there. You just start in a different place and do the same thing.
Plug it in. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a thought for you listeners. Think about it, especially if you're learning new songs from other artists.
Absolutely, yeah. Try to think in terms of chord symbols, definitely.
Now, moving on, I'm a little conflicted about the title of this episode,
Oh, yeah?
It's Harmonic Progression, Part 12, Non-Chord Tones, right?
Yes.
So once we get into non-chord tones, is it still... The reason I changed it from harmonic dictation to harmonic progression was because I figured our listeners probably wouldn't be as familiar with the harmonic dictation, that's just a college thing. That's a thing you do at school, right?
Right.
But progression. But now that we're doing harmonic progression, we're introducing these non-chord tones, which is more of a linear...
So is it more melodic than harmonic?
That's what I'm wondering. Or maybe it's somehow a cross between the two, right?
No, I would call non-chord tones to be sort of a melodically functioning thing.
Uh-huh.
But, you still have to know what they sound like, so it's still good. No, actually, I take that back. That's interesting, because without chords, then there's no such thing as non-chord tones.
Yeah.
Right? There are refer to Schenker and the horizontalization of chords. Even in a melody. But in the strictest, surface level interpretation, you need a chord to define a non-chord tone.
Okay. So this title maybe does work a little bit.
So maybe does work a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Until you start getting into Schenker, then of course Schenker's going to just mess with you in all kinds of ways, right? Go hear the Schenker episode if you haven't.
Yeah, and if you've listened to everything up into the Schenker episode, then just know you got your degree, at least your bachelor's degree.
You at least got your BA right now.
Because this Schenker stuff is like postgraduate level stuff.
It's typically grad student stuff.
Yeah,
typically. I mean, there are probably some undergrads that touch on it, but I learned it in my master's program, so.
Well, stay tuned if you want to hear more about that. But right now, we're gonna have some Jeremy torture today.
Right now, we're just going to play a little keyboard badly,
as we call it, yeah,
and torture Jeremy, which is always fun. I get a big kick out of it.
I think our listeners do too. Sickos. But let's go ahead and get into our social section, shall we?
Okay.
And in this episode, no new reviews or listener mails other than those from our Patreon patrons, as we were trying to catch up, thanking our Patreon patrons.
Excellent.
Right on?
Sounds great.
So let's start off with Mike Rabb. He's out of New York. Now, Mike is a percussionist specializing in rudimental percussion, but also proficient in classical.
Oh, wow.
And less proficient in jazz, in his words.
Oh, wow.
I concur.
That's some serious cred there.
I'm a little more proficient in classical than I am in jazz, even though I took bass lessons from the great late Cleve Eaton.
Yeah, I'm not proficient in either. I am similarly lost in classical or jazz. Sorry.
Anyway, Mike goes on. He graduated high school in 1996. Talking about my generation, right?
Yeah, that was just a year after me.
A year after me, yeah. That's the year my little sister Gabrielle graduated high school. And then he went off to University of Massachusetts Amherst Music Education Department.
But that's kind of a big deal.
Mm-hmm. But he says he dropped out after a few semesters, but he never stopped playing. So what does he have to say from there, Matt?
So Mike says, I did some traveling while performing, taught high school musicians on the side for many years, and still maintained some private lessons students. Not finishing my music ed degree was always a regret, so when I decided to go back last year, one of the first things I did was schedule my entrance exam. Needless to say, I was beyond rusty and feeling very unconfident, which is where Music Student 101 came in. Mm-hmm. I randomly found it and instantly loved it. Episode 9 and 10 on intervals really helped me start to get back into the swing of things. And the episode on form and analysis provided an enjoyable way for me to refamiliarize myself with so much information. You guys have a great chemistry, and I am really looking forward to future episodes. I still have a ways to go to catch up on everything you have on the channel. Thank you so much, Mike. We really appreciate that. It's one of the best feelings when we can feel like we're helping somebody get back to where they want to be, with their music, or get to where they want to be with their music. This is why we do this.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and we have covered a lot of stuff at this point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to catch up on.
Totally. And so much more to come. Scratching the surface, barely. Totally. But thanks again, Mike. You rock.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
And we'll talk a little bit about Patreon when we're done with these
all of these.
Okay,
here. Yeah.
Next up, we have Frank Kirkley out of Eugene, Missouri.
But
I think people from Missouri call it Missouri.
Do they?
Have you heard that?
I've heard that. Yeah, I have heard that, Missouri.
So we'll go with either,
We're from Alabama. We have no ground to stand on in criticizing anyone's dialect.
No.
Like at all.
Not at all.
So,
but
all right.
Frank and I have had some good banter in our emails recently, and seems like a really cool cat. Let's hear what he's got to say, Matt.
Okay. So Frank says, I've played guitar for a while, but never really learned what I was doing and was stuck in the beginner phase. So after I turned 53, congratulations, I decided to start taking lessons again from a local instructor. We've been working a lot on ear training, transcribing songs. I've done 4 so far, amazingly enough, considering how bad my ear was when we started, and improvisation. Your podcast has been a great part of that as a help explaining the theory part of it, and I can listen to it on my trips to and from work. As far as music I like, I'm a huge fan of King's X. Me too, Frank. Me too.
Yeah.
Richie Kotzen, and lately have been listening to a lot of Freddie King. Yes. If you've got some recommendations, I'd love to hear them.
And that we do, right?
And that we do.
First off, we listened to Richie Kotzen, right?
Yep.
And I want to put out a parental advisory on this one.
Dude's a little edgy.
Very angsty. He sounds a lot like Chris Cornell from Soundgarden.
He does.
And
he does sound like a
we kind of
Chris
decided
Cornell.
that both of these bands kind of reminded us of Soundgarden a little bit.
A little bit,
King's
yeah.
X and Richie Kotzen.
Yeah.
So maybe that's one of our recommendations.
Yeah, so definitely if you haven't listened to a lot of Soundgarden, definitely listen to a lot of Soundgarden.
And then we also listened to Freddie King, which is this kind of old school blues musician.
Old school, yeah.
Just looking at the picture, looked like it was in the 40s or 50s or
Yeah.
something like that. But the beat, the groove was really good. We listened to the top songs of all these people. So for Richard Kotzen, we listened to You Can't Save Me. King's X, we listened to Dog Man. And then Freddie King, we listened to Going Down.
Yeah.
Which is actually it's just a song about traveling.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Freddie King, I sort of place him in what I've called before the pre-rock blues era. Mm-hmm. When blues was just about to sort of splinter off and become rock.
Yeah.
Right? Which brings to mind people like Big Mama Thornton.
Yeah.
Sister Rosetta Thorpe.
Yeah.
People like that. Definitely check those out if you like Freddie King. Absolutely.
And for something a bit more contemporary, I've recently kind of fallen for this act, Eli Paperboy Reed.
Oh, wow.
It's got like this, it's basically blues-based gospel.
Nice.
And with a Motown kind of bass player.
Nice.
This is really fantastic music. Check out Cut You Down. Go to YouTube and see the live version of Cut You Down. And I'm quite sure, Frank, you will be blown away.
Very nice. Very nice.
So yeah, thanks again, Frank, and I hope you get something out of those recommendations.
Get some good music going. Yeah.
And now we finally have George Byrne out of the UK.
Out of the UK.
Now, by the way, Byrne, that sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As in David Byrne. And actually...
or Gabriel Byrne.
My family name Burns, Burns, was actually Byrne.
Back in the old country,
yeah.
Nice.
Somehow we changed it to sound more Scottish, I guess. But anyways, George was inspired by singer-songwriters like Bob Dylan and Joni Mitchell, and he picked up guitar in his late teens, but took a 10 to 15-year hiatus while focusing on his career. But also frustrated with his progress.
Oh, right. Well, that can happen.
So what's he got to say, Matt?
So George says, during COVID, I picked up my guitar again and once again felt frustrated by playing the same old things. So I started trying to learn, quote, properly, unquote, from the bottom up. Names of chords, a bit of theory, scales, arpeggios, etc. But I just found it frustrating. I had this idea that if I started a different instrument, it wouldn't feel like going backwards, but like starting afresh.
I get that.
Oh, yeah. And a few days later, I bought a digital piano and started a book, Alfred's Adult Beginner, which is a good one.
You know that one?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
And soon after that, started a course on an app called Piano Marvel, which I highly recommend.
All right.
Yeah. Just after that, which was about March 2021, I started listening to your podcast, and I can honestly say that sticking to learning and my enjoyment of the process has been profoundly shaped by having you two, who feel like parasocial friends at this point, guiding me, entertaining me, reassuring me, and inspiring me. So a huge thank you.
Okay, get ready for this, Matt. Go ahead.
Okay. I had a son a couple of years ago, which was an unexpected surprise, and coincidentally, on the day he was born, I was listening to the Kids and Music episode. You were practically there at his birth.
We were practically there at his birth.
Oh, that's awesome. I love stories like that. It can really feel frustrating. I hear this from people all the time. It's like, I'm trying to learn scales, I'm trying to learn chords, I'm trying to learn arpeggios, and it just feels so frustrating. Mm-hmm. And I wish I had a good answer where I could tell everyone, it's like, everybody just do this and it won't be frustrating. But alas, that would be very disingenuous of me. And I frankly feel like anybody who says, I've got an easy answer for this to not be frustrating, is really trying to part you from your money.
Exactly.
The truth is, learning to play an instrument is frustrating. This is an art. This is a discipline. It's not something that you accomplish in a day or a week, or really accomplish ever in your life, it feels like. And so, but some things that seem to help some people is that sometimes you should just pick up your instrument and just play it. Don't try to memorize an exercise or a scale or a song. Just pick it up and fiddle around. Yeah, jam, as we call it.
Some skin-on-skin bonding with your
Absolutely,
instrument.
yeah. Just sit there and fiddle around. Pick it up while you're sitting around the house watching TV or something, or bored. Mm-hmm. Put down the phone. Mm-hmm. Pick up your instrument and just fiddle with it. You'll be surprised how much that helps you feel like you have a sense of what's happening, right? And you're not just trying to cram all this information into your head. I'm a big fan of learning a song that you like. People will say, well, learn this song at this level and learn that song at this level, and that's great. It's also really great to pick up stuff that you like and figure out, oh, that's how they do that, right? And even if it's above, even if the entire song is above the level that you're on right now, just if you just learn the first couple of bars, or the first chord progression, or if you play it just slower than they play it but still play it, right? Just that feeling of, oh, they do this, right? This is what this song is that I've loved all my life, right? That's a different experience from let's learn melodically ascending G major 7, from the bottom of the guitar to the top. It's not that that's not useful. It's incredibly useful.
Right.
But it's really only one part of learning, right?
That's the work part.
That's the work part.
Playing.
Don't forget the play part.
Totally, yeah.
Don't forget the hang out, jamming, learn stuff that you like, play around on your instrument. Hang out with other people, both at your level and above.
Oh, yeah. Ideally, people you like, too.
Yeah, ideally people you like. Very helpful with good positive attitudes.
Yep.
Very, very, very helpful. But
Doesn't always happen in a 4 to 5 piece band. There's always going to be 1 or 2 Eeyores and grouchy, grumpy Gus's.
Playing in a band is like any other work team in any other field, right? It's like any other office or department or anything else where you're having to accomplish a goal that also involves other people. There are different personalities. There are different opinions. There are different approaches, and a positive environment is one where everybody kind of is respectful of everybody else and does their best to move the project forward, right? Without a whole lot of egos or without a whole lot of torpedoing or infighting.
Sure.
And then the worst ones are pure dumpster fires, just like any other office project.
Well, all that aside, George is also proud to say that for the first time, he was able to pick out an Elliott Smith song on his piano fairly quickly, just by memory.
That's amazing.
He sat down and just busted it out. It took him a couple of hours,
Yeah.
But
hey, a couple of hours is nothing. Yeah.
That's kind of the dream too.
Yeah.
Being able to get something from memory. That's impressive.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To which I'm sure ear training contributed. And
Indeed.
His level of intervals and all that good stuff.
That's the idea behind ear training is to practice listening so that you get better at that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 hours goes to 1 hour, goes to 30 minutes, goes to, listening to the song before the gig. And you're like, okay, I got it.
Now, real quick, before we get into this episode, he did mention this Piano Marvel app.
Mm-hmm.
We did like this ear training episode a long time ago, like 6 years ago or 8 years ago, or however long ago.
Right.
Really early on in this show.
Yeah.
And a lot of the apps we talked about are kind of no longer around. I think what we're going to try and do is actually maybe every couple of years update and just do a new...
Do a new, here are some helpful softwares and apps. And that's a good idea.
Or maybe just review one at the beginning of each episode or something. I don't know.
That's a good idea too. That would be interesting.
Yeah, so... see what you guys think about that. But
and if you have any apps or softwares or anything that you like that helps you learn or play music, definitely email us about it.
Totally.
And if you want to patron us...
Oh, yeah.
Patronize us.
Yes. So all these people we just heard from were our lovely Patreon patrons. For $1 a month, you can get into our Patreon site and see all the extra content,
of which there are videos of our band.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just extra little cool episodes. I think we did one on the Death Growl. We did one on inspiration for songwriting, I think.
Yeah, I loved the one on the death growl. We did one on songwriting and inspiration, yeah.
And then one of our listeners was like, I just want to know what's going on in this one song. And we took
that apart a little bit.
Broke down that whole song.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, too.
Yeah, so you get all of that at $1.
And then for $3 or more, you get a little Music Student 101 coffee mug.
Cute little coffee mug.
We say a little bit. It can hold 18 ounces at least, I think. Maybe 24, I can't remember.
It's more of a coffee jug.
Yeah. Which you need for this kind of work, right?
Oh, yes.
And then for $5 or more a month, you can get your own mini episode.
Where we will answer your music question in no less than 15 minutes.
Anyways, thanks again for writing in, and we really enjoy your feedback and your success stories and hearing more about your music, and we're happy to be a part of your musical journeys.
Absolutely.
So let us continue this journey, shall we?
Let's indeed.
Now, on episode 28...
way back there,
we did an episode on non-chord tones.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of a companion episode.
Yes, it is.
So many episodes ahead.
So many episodes later.
But we definitely recommend you go and listen to episode 28, non-chord tones.
Indeed, because we will explain what those are more fully in that episode, right?
Yeah, we play more examples and stuff, but we're going to kind of go through each kind, and then at the end, Matt is going to give me a little test where he's going to play some chords, and I'm going to try and see if I can guess what kind of non-chord tones are happening.
Yeah.
We're just kind of making this harmonic progression thing a little bit more challenging each time.
Each time, yeah.
Matt doesn't seem to think I'm going to have a problem. But
yeah, I think you've done way harder stuff than this, but we'll see.
We'll see. You guys can have a little contest and see who can get these before I can. Plenty of people have written in and said that they can do that. So I ain't mad. Okay, so Matt.
We even had a Matt torture once. Do you remember that?
Yeah, actually, yeah. That was good.
That was good. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Masochist that I am.
Yeah. Don't you have to be somewhat of a masochist to be in this business?
Oh, I think so.
Academia and musicians.
Academia, definitely.
Okay, so what is a non-chord tone, Matt? Is it what it sounds like?
Pretty much. A non-chord tone is a tone in a musical texture that is not a part of the chord that you are playing.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, if I play a C dominant 7 chord, so there are notes that are made up of this that comprise this chord: the C, E, G, and B flat.
1, 3, 5, and 7.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If all of a sudden I'm over here on F, right? This is a dissonance.
Yeah.
Right. It sound. There's the. This is a don't sound as in harmony with each other as the other notes. This is a note that is outside of our chord of C7, and therefore we call it a non-chord tone. And non-chord tones in classical music theory must be resolved to chords that are consonant, back into the chord tone some way. So they must be followed by a chord tone, and which chord tone it is depends on what kind of non-chord tone you have. But that's the basic idea.
Okay, very good. Okay, now going back and listening to episode 28, just to recap as I do before each of these kind of episodes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but these all have a few things that are kind of in common.
Yes.
All these non-chord tones. For one thing, they typically happen on weak beats.
Yeah, the theory, the music theory 2, version, the junior level music theory version is that they happen on weak beats. So they don't typically happen on 1 or 3 if we're in 4/4 time. They're typically on 2 or 4, and the consonant chords are happening on strong beats.
Okay. Typically, of course. There's no hard, fast rules in this.
Absolutely not. And as we know, as classical music progressed, these rules got more and more suggestions and less rules. Yeah.
From rules to conventions to suggestions to just completely...
forget it.
Forget it, yeah. Okay, so another thing is that these can happen in any voice.
Indeed.
There's no one...
Soprano, alto, tenor, or bass.
Yep. No one voice owns these little techniques. And then they can be chromatic or diatonic.
Right. Meaning they can be, to take the last one first, they can be diatonic, meaning they are notes of the scale of the key you're in, right? Or you can straight up go for the 12-tone aggregate and have non-chord tones that come from outside of the scale or the key that you're in.
Mm-hmm. The 12-tone aggregate. I like the way that sounds.
Sounds like I got a lot of book learning.
Mm-hmm. Well, you just want to kind of take these one by one?
Sure.
Okay. Let's start with the passing tone, shall we?
So a passing tone passes from one chord tone to the next.
Okay.
So if I'm in good old C, and I take this E, that's in this middle voice, and I go, so that is a passing tone. What I did was go from E to F up to G, right? E and G are both chord tones.
Yes.
F was the dissonant passing tone between them.
Okay.
And so it passed from E to G. That F did.
So we're going from one chord tone to another chord tone, all in one direction, right?
All in one direction, and they can go up or down.
Okay, so you could have. What would it sound like if you went down from that E?
All right, let's
Just for fun.
Let's find out, shall we? Something like that, right?
Na. So that time you went from E to C.
Down to C, passing through D, down to C. And like if you pass down to the fifth, you'll end up with 2, right? So, right? Or I actually pass through 2 non-chord tones, B and A, getting from C down to G. So I went C, B, A, G.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. And on that note, would that have been a double passing tone?
Yeah.
Or is it actually a double passing tone when you'd have 2 on top of each other?
I would interpret double passing tone as having 2. Yeah, so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Yeah, like that.
Now let me ask
Which
you.
absolutely happens. That sounds very Beethoven-y, just doing it.
So far, what we've been doing is passing all within one chord. Now, can a passing tone occur between 2 different chords?
Oh, absolutely.
Let's hear what.
So I'm going to pass, and I'm going to move to the 5 at the same time.
Okay.
So I'm going to move from C to G. Right? So that was the same passing tone, E, F to G. But
yeah,
when I got there, I was actually on a G.
And it still counts as a passing tone.
It still counts as a passing tone. And it, that last G does not have to be a chord tone in the old chord, right? Like, so, if I had, just to be clear, if I had gone from like G to B flat, so I'm in C, right? So that was G, A, B flat in the melody. The A is a passing tone.
Yeah.
Right? Now, B flat is not a chord tone in the original chord of C.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be. It's a chord tone in the next chord of B flat.
I see.
So we're good.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and then like we said, can we hear an example of a chromatic passing tone?
Oh, yeah. That's even more fun.
All these have been diatonic pretty much, right?
Yeah, I want to go to C, and this time I'm going to move to passing tone, by the way. I'm going to move to A minor, and in so doing, I'm going to go.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that was a chromatic G sharp in between G and A.
That bass kind of threw me off a little bit. Can you do that one more time
Without the bass? Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Very, very romantic era, right?
Yeah. Very much. So that is the passing tone, huh?
That is the passing tone.
Is there anything else we can say about that?
That pretty much covers the idea.
Okay.
Now, in practice, you have to figure out what is passing tones and what are chord tones, and it can get dicey. But the basic idea is that.
Cool. Next, we have the neighbor tone.
The neighbor tone, which is a note that I'll be an F now for the sake of being
Moving all
different.
around.
Yeah. So a neighbor tone moves out of the chord and back. So, like that, right? So I was in A. The highest note was A. It moves up to B flat and back down to A. So the B flat is a non-chord tone that we call a neighbor tone or a neighbor note. In that it just kind of went up there and then came right back down.
Okay.
You can also go down with those. So.
Okay.
Right.
Na, na, na.
Yeah, I mean, and so you can move chords while you're at it, but yeah.
So then also, maybe, is it safe to say that for all of these, that you can go from chord to chord to change chord changes for all of these?
Yes, that is absolutely, and that happens more often. Well, that happens.
Okay, so neighbor tone again, it kind of steps out of the chord and then back to the note it came from its note of origin.
Yes.
And you have an upper neighbors and you have lower neighbors. Same deal. You can go to any chord and you can do it chromatically or diatonically.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess if you do it chromatically, it'll just sound a little more...
sound a little freakier.
Yeah.
Or even... All right, now I'm just composing stuff. So stop me when I do that.
Even when you're doing these examples, I'm like, you could actually work with that. You can build on that.
Absolutely. That sounded all cool and, Frenchy.
Totally. If you guys just write
like Art Nouveau
5 chords back to back, see how it changes when you start adding these non-chord tones between the chords,
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
So there is that, huh?
Yes.
Now, next we have... Okay, so are those complete neighbors versus incomplete neighbors? Or
so what we just described would be considered complete neighbors.
Okay.
And we don't usually specify that those are complete neighbors. We just call them neighbors. What we do specify is the incomplete neighbor tones.
Okay.
And what this means is that you weren't that chord tone that you moved to the neighbor and back, you just weren't on it before you moved. So these involve a skip and then moving back.
Okay.
Right? So the big ones being, let's see if I'll be in G minor. I got all sad after I played that. Actually, no, let me be in C minor.
C minor, okay.
And
it's a whole step down from the saddest of all keys.
Right. So, and I'm going to move from C minor to A flat. Right? But in doing so, I'm going to do this. Right? So what I did there, the last note is G, and I jumped to this non-chord tone of B flat, and then resolved it back down to A flat. So do that again. Right? And that is called an appoggiatura that jumps out of your chord, some distance away. It's not stepwise motion. It jumps out of your chord and then resolves back in. Resolves down back in.
So up until now, all the non-chord tones we've been talking about have been pretty much in stepwise motion.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But now we're doing leaps.
And
the one you just mentioned was the appoggiatura.
The appoggiatura.
Which is one of my favorite words. And it leaps away and steps back, right?
Yes, it leaps away and steps back.
And it's incomplete because it doesn't go back to the note that it came from. It doesn't
return. So like if I had been on A flat,
yep. Yeah.
That would have just been an upper neighbor, right? But I'm over here on G, so I have to leap this interval of a minor third. Right? And that leap is what makes it an appoggiatura.
I see.
And then appoggiaturas can leap in either direction, up or down. But their resolution has to be the opposite direction.
Okay.
So appoggiaturas that leap up must resolve down.
I see.
Appoggiaturas that leap down must resolve up.
Right.
Thank Palestrina for this beautiful little convention. Yes.
Was that the fiddle player that made the deal with the devil?
No. No, that was the Roman church composer of the
Paganini. Who made the deal with the devil?
Paganini was said to have sold his soul to the devil to be able to play violin. Yeah.
None of them were fiddle players.
Well, Palestrina certainly wasn't.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't guess. I don't know.
Right
He could have been. So that's an appoggiatura. That it's leaps away and then steps back. Its counterpart, the escape tone, which does the opposite.
Okay.
It steps first, right, and then leaps.
Huh.
Right. So this guy, the C, stepped out of the chord to be natural, and then into this chord tone of D diminished, like that.
Uh-huh.
Right. So yeah.
So it kind of has to travel over the note that it came from whence it came, right? Or no?
Sometimes, yeah.
If you step...
I guess it does, because like the appoggiatura, the escape tone has to leap in the opposite direction, right? It has to resolve down and then leap up, or resolve or go out and resolve and leap down.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they can be tricky that way.
And the example you just gave was a chromatic one? Or was that diatonic?
That was technically chromatic.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, fun stuff.
So and these are both also in the neighbor tone family, but they're just incomplete neighbors.
They're incomplete because that note was not there ahead of time.
So that the escape, and I think you gave a cool little anecdote that kind of helps you remember that, right?
Yeah, escape tones is like escaping, right? First you have to step up to the window and then you leap out.
And then you leap out, yeah.
Yep. Right. So, leapt out and then resolved up.
That sounded a little bit like John Lennon's Jealous Guy, a little bit.
Hey, these things help you write good music.
I'm sure this is all in the Beatles stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
Okay, so those are the neighbor tones. And
those are the neighbor tones.
Complete and incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
And then what about the anticipation? The next one.
The anticipation anticipates the upcoming chord.
Okay.
So it is a chord tone in the chord that's coming next.
I see.
So if I'm going to be in D major, right, and then I'm going to go to let's see what I want to go to. If I want to go to 2/6, right, the anticipation, right, this note here, this B, was technically dissonant. Right
now.
A moved up to B, yeah. And it didn't move back down to A. Rather, it stayed on that B when I moved to E to E minor, the 2/6 chord, right? So, right? Anticipation.
It gives you just a little taste of the chord to come.
Of the chord to come, yes.
That's cool as hell.
Yeah.
I like that. See, I don't use any of these things. I need to start using these things more, man. Well, obviously, I'm going to use it in the bumper music for this episode.
Obviously.
Okay, so that's the anticipation.
Indeed.
Now, the suspension is there's a little more to the suspensions, right?
Well, yeah, because it's got a little bit, it's got the biggest history, I think. It's the most used and the most talked about and analyzed. The simple situation is that the suspension is the opposite of the anticipation.
Oh.
Where you leave a note from the last chord when you change that then resolves down into the chord.
Okay. I'm acting like I'm hearing all this for the first time. It's been a while, you know?
So, for example, and then... Right? So what I did there, C, and then to then to D over F, D minor over F. But I left this G and resolved it down. Right? So, D over F. Right? And then, of course, you could easily... double suspensions, right? So I've been C and E to G. C and E's are still there, and they move down.
Oh. Okay, so kind of like the double passing tone, the double suspension is actually
double suspension. Yeah,
that happening between two notes in harmony.
Yeah, this is our cadential motion, right? What we call cadential suspensions, because these come at the end of classical music phrases so often.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's another
fun.
Now there's three phases of any suspension, right? There's the preparation, the dissonance,
which is the first chord.
Yeah. The dissonance,
which is that note that you held over and is now dissonant with the chord you went to.
And then the resolution,
where you resolve that dissonance back, into the consonants, into the chord. Yeah.
Now, if we don't resolve it, we don't have a suspension. Is that right?
Depends on who you ask. So these are the origins of sus chords. If any guitar players out there have ever played sus4 chords, or sus2 chords, these are the origins, right? People kind of decided that we kind of just liked these sounds, basically. That's D minor sus4, right?
Dreamy.
Yeah. In classical world, you do not have a suspension unless in fact, in classical world, you've got to resolve this.
Yeah, okay.
And there's only one option. You've got to resolve it downward, because suspensions must be resolved downward.
Okay. So that's the thing.
That is a thing.
By step?
Yeah, I'm having so much fun. Okay.
And it usually resolves down by step, usually?
Always.
Always by step, okay.
Always by step.
Great.
Yeah.
And then we have a good number of types.
Right. So you hear classical music theorists talk about a 4/3 suspension, a 9/8 suspension, a 7/6 suspension. What they're describing is the interval above the bass. So I can go from 1 to 4, and then to 5/7, and then a 4/3 suspension. It's going to sound like, right?
Yeah.
Whereas this 4 is the fourth above the bass. My bass is C.
Yeah.
This is F. So it's the interval of a fourth above the bass, moving to the interval of a third above the bass.
Yeah.
Sorry. There was also a 6/5 suspension in there that was unintentional. Yeah. And so that's what they're doing. So a 9/8 suspension, re being held over to do, right? Which is pretty standard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is 9. This is C. This is D. Moving to 8.
Very nice.
Very happy. Yeah. There were also 7/6 suspensions. Yeah. If the 2/3 suspension is actually a suspension that happens in the bass. That's why the first number is bigger, right?
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because I thought all these were supposed to resolve down, right?
Yeah. It actually does resolve down, but in resolving down, it makes the second interval larger because you're talking about the bass.
Oh my gosh.
You're talking about the bass, which is the interval of the right.
Interesting.
Yeah. Those are fun. Yeah. And then 6/5, the lost soul. You hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So, okay, and then you can also embellish these, right?
Oh, and they get embellished.
That's kind of a classical music thing that happens a lot, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
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 And then you can also do a chain of suspensions, which is quite pretty.
Yeah.
but pretty hard to put together on
Hard
the
to
fly.
put together off the fly.
But it would be the same kind of thing. Say you go from a 1 chord with a 4/3 suspension to a 5 chord with a 9/8 suspension,
Yeah.
and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
Or does it make
Chopin did things like that a lot.
Chopin probably did it in a fashion to where it was all part of the same melodic line, I imagine.
Yeah, and in fact, we've talked about the E minor prelude,
Mm.
which has suspensions in every chord.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you bust out a little bit of that for a second? Or no?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I think we had maybe Angela.
We had this. We had Angela play it.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the score when I was talking about it.
Yeah, okay. So those are some cool things you can do with suspensions.
Absolutely.
And then finally, we have the pedal tone,
And then the pedal tone.
which you were saying is the redhead stepchild of all the
Yeah,
non-chord
because I mean it
tones.
shows up, but it's almost always the bass. Not always, but almost always the bass note. It's just hanging out on one note, no matter what other chord changes you do, right? So. Right, yeah. I'm just playing chords up here, and the note in the bass is staying the same.
It stays where it's at.
Yeah,
Now, when you're analyzing the pedal tone, you're basically ignoring that note, right?
basically.
You're,
You're analyzing the chords above it and calling that a pedal tone.
if you're playing in the key of C and you have a C in the bass doing a pedal tone, you can go to D minor and still have that C in there.
Yep.
And we would call that D minor the 2 chord. We wouldn't call it a 2 7 or something.
2 4 2.
4, yeah.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, that would be accurate. I'd rather call that a 2 chord.
Yeah.
With a pedal tone, which is a non-chord tone.
But that is actually, for it to be the redheaded step chord tone, non-chord tone, it's pretty widespread, the use of it, right?
Really is, yeah. It's really something you got to watch out for if you're ever analyzing, especially Mozart, Beethoven, the people like that. It definitely happens.
All right, man. Well,
Hey, here we go.
all right. I think we got.
You procrastinated long enough.
Yes, we have.
Yep.
I now have my notepad and my little mechanical pencil for future mistakes. Now, how can we do this? Is it going to be the same kind of thing? Do you think do you think I should get the chords first and then save the?
Yeah. Let's just do it the same way we always have. It's gone well for us so far. So we can just do the thing.
So we're going to give 4 listens, ideally, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first listen, I'm going to try and get the bass. I'm going to try and figure out the bass, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second listen, I'm going to try and listen to the soprano or the upper voice,
Yes.
the melody.
Yes.
And then I use my third listen. Hopefully by then I've got in the back of my mind a little bit of the harmonic motion that's going on.
Yes.
We don't concern ourselves so much with the middle voices, although in this case we might need to because sometimes these middle voices
Depends on where I put this passing tone.
depends on where you put that thing. So I would use my third listen to try and kind of make the most harmonic sense of it, and then maybe even try and tackle the actual non-chord tones.
Yeah.
And then ideally the fourth listen will be confirming all these things,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Now, whether it takes 4 listens or 5 listens, we'll see. We normally do this like it's just whole notes per chord. Each chord is a whole note.
Usually in harmonic dictation.
But that's going to change today because you're going to have
Yeah,
to have
by the very definition of what we're trying to do, we have to think a little more critically about that.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Ready?
Give me a key.
We are in F.
Key of F. Okay. 1 flat.
1 single flat, which is B flat. And so bottom note is bass note is F.
Mm-hmm.
Soprano note is A.
Oh, you're just going to give them to me like that, huh?
Oh, do I not usually? I usually don't give them to you, do I?
Uh-uh.
Well, I don't know what the soprano note is then.
I don't mind.
Could be any.
Na, na, na.
Yep.
So there's third. That's the third. So
There's
you're
a
right. It is A.
Yeah, it is indeed A.
Okay, so we got an F in the bass and we got an A in the soprano.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. That's our first chord.
Okay. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Got it. Well, at least I got the bass for this one, right? Mm-hmm. I got a F moving down to the B flat, which will be 4, and then up to a C, which will be 5, and then back to the 1, which is F.
Very easy.
Okay. I see that suspension is happening in the second measure, but I'm not quite sure what notes they are. But now I'm going to try for the soprano.
Okay.
Second listen.
Second listen.
So far, so good.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Maybe. Or no. Okay, so obviously first measure, we got that A. The second measure, I think we just move up a half step to the 4, which is also B flat.
Yep.
And then that's for actually a half note.
So, I may have steered you astray a little bit here, but ask yourself if we're holding these for whole notes.
Okay.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay, so we're going to call these half notes.
These
then.
are half notes.
These are all half notes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to change that here then. No worries. It's just a matter.
I kind of led you astray a little bit with that, so
Yes.
let me correct.
Better correct it now than have someone call in. All right, now. So, second measure, we got a B flat. Okay, so that's going to be, then that'll be a quarter note if the other one was a half note. And then it's going to move down to A. And then ultimately to G. And then back up to A. Oh, it went down to F. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, then so third listen, I think we're going to try and put the harmonies together here.
Okay.
Pretty sure I know what these chords are.
Yeah, they're pretty easy.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So, first chord.
Oh, do you want to hear it get in, or do you want to?
Yeah, go ahead and play it. I'll call them out.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Got a 1 chord. 4, 5, 1.
So just 1, 4, 5, 1.
Okay, so now I'm kind of using a little bit of what I know about melodic and harmonic dictation here to figure out what exactly these quarter notes are. And, or more to the point, what kind of non-chord tone
What
this is.
kind of non-chord tone are we looking at?
The non-chord tone itself is A.
Yeah.
It moves to a G in the next chord. It passes to
Indeed,
a G
it does.
in the next chord.
Yes.
Okay, so we got ourselves a passing tone.
That is a passing tone A, absolutely.
And it is a lower passing tone, right?
We just call them passing tones.
We just call them passing tones.
Yeah.
It just goes down, though.
Yeah, it happens to be one going down, yeah.
Okay, let's hear that again, then.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Very good. So we got it.
So that's it.
Passing tone.
Passing tone.
All right. That was not so bad.
That was not so bad.
Next,
let's see here.
always use pencils when you're doing this, y'all. Are we sticking to the same kind of half note thing?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Here we go. So, I'm in the key of D minor.
D minor. I thought so. Based on how it related to that F.
Oh, how nice.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And so there and again, we had the same time signature. We had B flat alone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But we're starting with D. Okay, so let's hear that first chord and see if I can figure it out. Is that the highest note? Na, 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 na. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Okay, so we got a D in the bass. Because you're cool like that. You're always going to at least start me off with a nice little D in the bass. Half notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in the soprano, I'm hearing an A note again. which is the 5. Okay.
All right. Ready?
Listening for that bass this time.
Okay, here we go. Bass. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, are you doing pickety thirds here?
I'm doing pickety thirds, man.
Madman. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm getting a D, and then I think we move up a whole step to an E.
Yep.
And then another half step to that F, the third. And then I think I got lost right here. No, just straight back up the scale, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Straight up. Okay, so we got a D, E, F, and then a G, and then up to a A, and then back down to your D. Great. Okay, that's right up the scale. D, E, F, G, A, D.
Now that F to G, are those half notes?
Oh, I skipped them, didn't I?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just kind of getting the main chord structure here.
Okay, all right. Here we go.
All right.
We'll try again.
Now I'm listening to the soprano.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ooh, boy. It's almost like this might... Are you doing a chain? Okay. So the soprano, we started off with an A, a half note. And then we got 2 quarter notes. I'm thinking we got an A and then down. But that's a half step, huh? It's chromatic. That's a G sharp.
That's a G sharp.
Ooh, okay. So we got 2 quarter notes, A and then G sharp. And then back up. Because where does that sharp want to go? It wants to go back up to that A, doesn't it?
There you go.
And that's what it does. But then, when that happened, then another voice started doing something, didn't it? So I need to figure out what that is. That was the second listen, right?
Yes.
Let's go for this third listen.
Okay.
See if I can figure out what these chords are.
Here we go.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Does that walk up happen between in the second measure? Is that happening between the chromatic between the G and A?
Don't confuse yourself now.
And not to mention, I also forgot what these chords are. I'm thinking we start off with a 1 chord, obviously.
Yep.
The second chord after the non-chord tone, it looks like we have a G sharp and an E. Right?
What are we talking about?
The second chord in the first measure.
Oops. That chord?
Yeah. Well, that would be the passing. That would be the non-chord tone then.
The G sharp?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so then we have an A and an E, which is probably just a 5 chord.
It's probably just a 5 chord. But notice the inversion.
Yeah. 5 chord, the 5-6-4.
A passing 5-6-4.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, and then it goes to
I do
1.
know some things. Notice the inversion.
Yeah, 1-6. I'm bad with these inversions, right? And then I think it just goes to either a 2 or a 4, something predominant, and then to a 5, and then to a 1.
Could that predominant have been?
I might have to have another listen for this.
You want another listen?
Let's do another listen. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. That's just simply a quarter note. That's where I was off. Okay, cool. Okay. So the first non-chord tone we have happens in measure 1.
Mm-hmm.
And this is in the key of D minor, we have an A moving down to a G sharp and then back up to A.
Mm-hmm.
So it returns to the note of origin.
Mm-hmm.
So we have decided that is a neighbor tone.
Yes. A chromatic neighbor
Chromatic lower neighbor tone.
Chromatic lower neighbor.
Right?
A CLN.
CLN. Seriously.
You actually see those written on scores when they've been analyzed sometimes.
No kidding.
Yep, CLN.
Now the
And
next
CUN.
CUN.
Chromatic upper neighbor.
Good Lord. The next measure, the neighbor tone happens in beat 2. I'm sorry, the non-chord tone happens in beat 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we have, I'm going to call that a passing tone.
For, which tone is a passing tone?
In that one chord, we have a G passing up to an A from the F.
Yep.
Okay. And then the chord structure was 1 5 1 5 1.
Yeah.
Right, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great.
Can disguise a very simple chord structure with these things, can't you?
Yeah, you really can. Starting to sound like music. Okay.
All right.
So I wouldn't say I nailed that one, but I did okay.
You did great.
All right, you want to move on to another one? These are go pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and also, hey, that last chord was not a D minor; it was a D major.
Yeah,
and
Picardy third.
We call that a Picardy third.
Yes.
So we're in the key of D minor, we end on a D major. That's
yes.
one of those dramatic things they do in classical music.
One of those fun little things that happen sometimes.
Makes me think of Star Trek. Next gen. Okay. All right, so third example.
I'm going to be in good old C major for this.
Okay, C major. No sharps, no flats.
Mm-mm.
Easy peasy.
Okay. Ready?
Thought you're about to bust into some bluegrass. Bounce that 1 on the 5. You ready to go? Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
So first chord, let's hear it.
So.
Okay. So we got 1 in the bass, which is C.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third, which is E.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'll just put that right here. Okay. All cars. I still have to say all cars eat gas.
Yeah.
All these years later. Okay. Ready? Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, I'm definitely hearing a 1 4 5 motion.
Mm-hmm.
What I think, anyways. But you go lower, so you start off on C, then we go down to the low F, huh? Back up to the G, which is a 5, and up again to 1. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and those are all half notes.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be careful about where I put these things. One thing I just wish I could read music better. Okay. So I got the bass. We got 1 4 5 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and now soprano.
Soprano.
What you got?
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Na 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 na. Are these two back-to-back non-chord tones, maybe?
Oh.
Okay, so
I wouldn't do something like that, would I?
That would be weird, wouldn't it?
Would I do something like that?
I think you would.
Me?
Okay, so we start off with an E note, right? Na, and then the next note is where something happens. We got a E, but moving down to the D.
Mm-hmm.
Which is passing through to another note, which is passing through to C. and that passes down again through the D, through the B. It ends up on A. Maybe that A goes down to G. Okay, one more time. I'm sorry.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2.
I'm doing this in this weird, unorganized way. I really need to be thinking about the chords themselves. But again, I think I heard a 1, 4, 5 thing, right?
I think you did.
Okay, go ahead.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. How about this?
Does it sound like it went all the way down to G?
I don't think so. Nah.
No.
So here's what's going on then. We got an E.
Got an E.
And then it holds, which I guess that means it suspends.
Yeah, look at that.
And then it goes down to a D.
Mm-hmm.
And then the D holds another,
which means, I guess, it suspends.
Which is suspending.
Uh-huh.
This is starting to feel like a chain of suspensions. And then it holds and then resolves ultimately to the C on the last chord.
There you go.
Wow.
And not technically a chain of suspensions because there is one chord in between them that has no suspension.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Which one is that? The third chord?
5 chord, yeah.
Okay, let's hear that. Let's hear it one more time then.
Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So 1 chord, 4 chord with our first suspension, 5 chord, and then our 1 chord with the last suspension. The first suspension, we're over an F note and we got an E going down to D.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a 7/6 suspension.
7/6.
Right? And then we got the 5 chord, no problem.
That's the 1 chord without a suspension in it, right? So not technically a chain of suspensions because that guy.
Okay, so if it had a suspension, then it would be a chain. They have to be consecutive, which I guess is what a chain is.
Yeah,
right?
and they're not just random suspensions either. That goes all the way back to like third species counterpoint, and it's like they're all in the same voice, and so you've got to create the chord progression under it to do that. But
okay,
but I digress.
And then this very last chord, we have a 1 chord with a D moving down to a C over the C note or the bass note of a C.
Yep.
So that would call that the 9/8.
I would call that a 9/8.
Okay, great. All right. So 1 4 with a 7/6, moving to 5, moving into a 1 with a 9/8.
Yeah.
All suspensions, but not necessarily a chain of suspensions.
Not necessarily. A lot of suspensions, but not necessarily a chain of them.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
One more again.
One more again. Let me think a minute.
Take your time.
I like C minor and A flat. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So one more then, huh?
One more. Here we go.
Give us the key.
We are in C minor.
Mm-hmm. So we got a B flat, E flat, A flat. Okay.
All right, here we go.
So what's this first chord then?
Our first chord is C minor. I kind of already gave it to you while I was just messing around.
Yeah. But to make it official, I guess it's usually going to be 1. I mean, that's just what we normally do. Right?
Yeah, oh, the chord is 1,
Yeah. But in the bass, we got a C.
C.
And in the soprano, I want to say that's another C. No, that's a 5 again.
That's a 5,
That's
yeah.
a G.
That's G.
Okay. Put that there. Okay.
All right. Ready?
Listening for that bass.
All right, listening for the bass. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right. Okay. So let's see here. I think I got in the first measure we got a half note of C, and then another half note of C. Stays where it is, and then it moves up to a D, and then 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 a D That's the best thing I could come up with.
Yeah, yeah.
And then something happens here. Maybe it goes up to the 3. It goes. There's nothing between that and the. Okay, so it goes from the D right down to the 5.
Yeah.
Which is G.
2, 5.
Okay, and then back up to 1. Maybe I thought I was hearing that, and then maybe I was hearing something in another voice. Getting my voices connected.
It's possible. These voices are kind of moving a lot now with all these passing tones and suspensions and stuff.
Sure enough. Okay. And anyways, like you were saying, 1, 1, 2, 5, 1.
Yep.
Okay. Great. No problem.
All right. So now we're dealing with the soprano.
Yep. I'm hearing. I feel like I'm hearing something leapy. Let's hear it one more time.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. I do feel like at the very end that I heard a 9/8 suspension.
Well, you heard some kind of suspension.
Some kind of suspension. No, what note is that? No. 3.
Yeah.
4/3. That was a 4/3 suspension.
That was a 4/3 suspension. Very good.
Thank you. Okay, so at the very end, and in the key of C, it's going to be an F moving down to an E.
E.
Flat. E flat. I caught myself. Nanoseconds after you caught me. Okay. And then at the very beginning, I kind of doing this in reverse here.
That's okay.
But the first measure, I think we had a moment of appoggiatura. Because it sounds like na, 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 na.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's moving from a G up. Is it up a third or a second? No, it had to be a third because it's a leap.
Yep.
So G to B.
B.
Flat.
Flat.
G to B flat. And then down to A below.
Down to A.
Flat.
Flat.
Below it, yes. And then I guess I'll take another listen.
Okay.
Yeah, let's have another listen.
Another listen. Here we go.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Huh. So there was 5 chords altogether? For some reason, I thought there was just 4.
There's 5 chords altogether, but I know why you feel like there was only 1.
Yeah, why is that?
Or only 4, because in 2 of those chords, the bass did not change, right?
Okay.
So when you go 1,
yeah.
and what is that?
So that's still a 1 note.
It's still a 1 note in the bass and an A flat in the soprano. What chord are we implying here?
What chord are we implying?
Yeah, what chord are we implying here?
A 1 and a 6. I guess a 6 chord.
6 chord. In what inversion?
First inversion?
So 6, 6.
6, 6. Wow. Devilish.
Indeed. Only mostly devilish.
Okay, so 1 to a 6, 6. And then the appoggiatura was the non-chord tone.
Yeah.
And that happened when the G went up to that B flat. Okay.
And then it resolves stepwise down to the A flat.
And the next chord, where we have an A flat and a D. So to me, that says maybe like a 2 chord.
Maybe like a 2 chord. 2 diminished.
And root position.
And root position, yeah.
Yep, 2 diminished in root position. And then, is there one more non-chord tone I'm missing in between these other 2 chords?
Well, you already sort of figured it out, though.
Well, that's a suspension at the end?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm good to go. Okay. So then, after this 2-chord, we go on to a 5-chord.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't remember if it's a 5/7 or not.
Well,
remember?
what note is in your soprano right now?
Oh, you did a thing where the 5/7 becomes the 3 kind of thing, or the 4.
It is a 4/3 suspension after all.
Okay, cool. So that would be a 5/7 chord.
Uh-huh.
And then the on the very last 1 chord is where we have a 4/3 suspension.
Right. I had to get that 7 in there to make it a 4/3 suspension. Right?
Oh, for good voice leading, right? I mean, you could
just for having the note I needed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You could have, but it just wouldn't have sounded smooth.
So the F had to be in the 5 chord for it to be held over in the 1 chord to have a note that is a 4th above the bass.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So it kind of had to be a 5/7.
So wait, just to be sure, is there not another non-chord tone going on here?
Nope.
Okay.
You got them.
It's not an anticipation?
Nah, I don't think so, no.
Okay, cool.
Not an intentional one.
Yeah, right.
Did you catch that 64th note anticipation of?
No. Okay, cool. Okay.
All right, so there you go.
There you go.
See, you didn't have a problem.
I had a couple of problems. I did. It wasn't as smooth as it could have been.
We got there, though.
Do we have time for one more?
One more, and one more quick one.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
We'll see how quickly I can do it.
Here we go. Let's be an A minor.
A minor, all right.
A minor.
Okay, with an A in the bass.
With an A in the bass.
What's that soprano doing?
I'm all about the 5 today.
Yeah, so that's the E. Okay, 5.
Right.
Got
Ready?
it. Uh-huh.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Well, okay, that
So
was
this
easy.
was easy.
So that whole time you had in the bass note, you had that A going over
Yeah.
whatever chord changes they were. They might, I think, maybe 1 2 1 5 1 or 1 4 1 5 1.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But but if we're just looking for the non-chord tones,
Yeah.
boom, bingo, I
Pedal.
got it.
There you go.
That's a pedal tone.
Yep.
The red-headed step chord.
The red-headed step chord, and yes, the that was 1 4 1 5 1.
Okay,
Not hard.
easy peasy. You let me off easy. I could drive home feeling good about myself.
Except you are home.
I could walk up the stairs feeling good about myself.
There you go. Fun, right?
Yeah, man, that
These
was
are
really
fun.
cool.
These things start making even these little chord exercises start sounding very musical, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because when you start getting more sophisticated melodies, then you start sounding like actual music real fast.
Yeah, don't be surprised if you hear some of your examples in the bumper music. And then we'll have to worry about inter-podcast copyright infringement.
Right. We're suing ourselves.
Yeah.
The lawsuit is pending.
We don't have any money, so we won't win
We
anything.
don't have any money though, so we can't defend.
Well, that was cool. Hey, where do we go from here?
In terms of harmonic dictation,
Yeah, we're kind of, I keep on thinking we're done, but
we just haven't done extended chords yet.
Extended chords, like 13th chords, 9th chord. Ugh.
And learning how to distinguish an extended chord from a non-chord tone, which,
Oh.
yeah.
Thank God we didn't do that all in one episode. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Absolutely. It's always fun to torture Jeremy.
Yep. Jeremy Torture's always, I need that.
And we'll see you
apparently.
and we'll see you next time.
Take care.
We hope you enjoyed that as much as Matt did. For more Jeremy torture, keep on listening. For ways to support us, visit the donate page on our website at musicstudent101.com. Check out our merchandise at redbubble.com/musicstudent101. Whatever platform you're listening on, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, you can reach us at info@musicstudent101.com.